Welcome back, Wildcat Nation. I'm your host, Abby Harvey, and I'm bringing to you the next episode of Wildcat Week presented by Amplify Media. Today we're spotlighting the men's bowling team here on campus, but before we head into that, here's Isaac with another segment of Crossroads League in Review.
I'm Isaac Wolf with your Crossroads League Week in Review. With the regular season wrapping up for men's and women's basketball, let's check in on some of the final games and how the conference stands heading into the postseason. Number 6 Indiana Wesleyan lost on the road at Marion on Saturday 94-89. The Wildcats were outscored 52-43 in the second half and lost the rebound battle as well. Gus Etchison led the Knights with 26 points, aided by Brody Whitaker, who added 19, and Jackson Ames, who added 16. Indiana Wesleyan's leading scorer was Javen Buchanan with 29. Number 1 Grace handled Mount Vernon Nazarene 100-77 to close out the regular season. The Lancers took home the conference regular season championship with that win and will be the number 1 seed in the conference tournament, allowing them to host every game they play. The bracket for the men's tournament is as follows. The 1 seed Grace will play the 8 seed Taylor. The 2 seed Indiana Wesleyan Wildcats will play against the 7 seed St. Francis Cougars. The 3 seed Huntington will take on the 6 seed Spring Arbor. And the 4 seed Marion will play the 5th seed Bethel. All higher seeds host their games at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. Crossroads League semifinals will take place on Saturday. In women's basketball, Marion clinched the Crossroads League regular season championship outright with a thrilling 68-65 win at home against Indiana Wesleyan. Lily Frazier did all she could to keep the Wildcats in it, posting 23 points and 14 rebounds, but a late turnover by the Wildcats cost them the game. Ella Collier and Abby McNally combined for 39 points and 14 rebounds in the win for the Knights. As for the women's tournament bracket, it looks like this. Marion is the 1 seed and they will take on the 8 seed Goshen. Indiana Wesleyan is the 2 seed and they will take on the 7 seed Taylor. Spring Arbor is the 3 seed and they will take on the number 6 seed Huntington. And St. Francis and Grace is the 4-5 matchup. All games start at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Semifinals will take place on Friday. As for this week's Crossroads League Awards, the Women's Basketball Player of the Week is Ella Collier of Marion. Collier helped number 2 Marion complete the league schedule with an undefeated mark by averaging 20.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.5 steals per game in the title-clinching wins over Mount Vernon and number 4 Indiana Wesleyan. The Men's Basketball Player of the Week is Gus Etchison of Marion. Etchison scored at least 26 points in each of Marion's wins, leading the Knights past Mount Vernon and to an upset of number 6 Indiana Wesleyan. Etchison averaged 29.5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in the 2 wins. The Baseball Player of the Week is Mason David of Taylor. David highlighted the offense for number 9 Taylor in its 3-0 week by hitting .545 over 11 at-bats. The junior reached base safely at a .615 clip, belted 3 extra base hits, and drove in 7 runs to fuel the Trojan attack. The Baseball Pitcher of the Week is John Hojnowski of Spring Arbor. Hojnowski tossed a complete game win at Georgetown in a 5-1 Spring Arbor victory. The freshman hurler fanned 7 over 7 innings, did not allow an earned run, and did not issue a walk in the contest. The Softball Player of the Week is Kaylee Larkin of Taylor. Larkin led Taylor to a 3-1 showing that included a pair of wins over Campbellsville and a narrow loss to number 3 Cumberlands. Larkin hit .727 in those 4 games, belting 2 homers and 3 doubles while scoring 4 runs and stealing 1 base. And the Softball Pitcher of the Week is Mackenzie Noah of Taylor. Noah picked up a win and save in the circle for Taylor, helping the Trojans to a 9-8 win over Rio Grande and a 10-4 win against Campbellsville. Noah went the distance in the win against Campbellsville and recorded the final 2 outs to seal Taylor's victory over Rio Grande. That's all for this week with your Crossroads League Week in Review. I'm Isaac Wolf.
Thank you, Isaac, so much again for Crossroads League in Review. Micah's still out for shoulder surgery, so we brought in women's basketball star Jordan Reid for our co-host today. We are spotlighting the men's bowling team on campus, and this is episode 7 of season 4. We have junior Chris Mace. Is that how you say your last name? Perfect. And then he was recently just named Crossroads League Bowler of the Week, so congrats for that.
Yeah.
And then freshman Parker Dean here today. So basically, to start things off, wanted to hear about how you guys both got into bowling.
Do you want to go first? I mean, I can go first. On my mom's side of my family, we all bowled. My grandpa bowled. My grandma has bowled. My mom has bowled. My uncle's bowled. So, growing up, I was sort of in the bowling alley a lot. And so, 4 years old, as soon as I was able to pick up a bowling ball, I started. Wow. And I've never stopped.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, so for me, I didn't usually bowl until I was in high school. Junior year, sophomore year, I actually picked up a bowling ball. I usually played baseball for most of my life. Unfortunately, that path just didn't work out, but I got really into bowling my junior year, and I started bowling in competition, buying my first bowling ball. and then that journey just kind of led me here.
So obviously baseball was your first path, but like and then the legacy of bowling has been in your life, but when the opportunity came at IWU to bowl, how did you guys first get introduced that it was even a team here? Because it's fairly new. And when did you just decide you wanted to do this in college?
Well, my story is a bit odd because one of my friends actually applied here, and the coach was like, "Oh, I'm going to show up and watch you," and she was like, "Oh, I'm not even interested." Like, she just applied to different colleges. Well, when Carl came and he watched her. Well, then I was like, maybe I'm interested. So I started looking into it, and that's how I figured it out. I wasn't even looking for it.
Yeah.
It was my friend, and she accidentally applied. I don't know how she accidentally applied.
Yeah.
But yeah, he came to watch, and it ended up me instead of her. So,
Awesome.
For me, I didn't really have a plan to go to college at first. I didn't really have any offers for bowling until the summer of 2021. It was in May, and Carl came up to me at one tournament, and he liked what he saw, and we just got to talking from there. Iowa was my only college offer that I ever received, so just receiving that offer from Carl and making that connection was a real blessing for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, fairly new team on campus. How would you guys describe kind of the team dynamic as being such a new team?
So I've been here for 3 years. We started my freshman year. We had a total of 5 guys. And then sophomore year came around, we were up to 6 guys. We had a couple guys leave, Dion being one of them. But we did collect some new younger guys like Slager.
yeah, and me.
Yeah, yeah. Junior year is when it really started to pick up because we went from 6 all the way up to 15 on the team. Our first tournament, we had 3 varsity and 2 junior varsity teams.
Yeah, we started off really well.
Yeah. Throughout the semester, we did eventually lose guys. And the team now is actually down to one less larger team with 8 guys. It kind of makes it more competitive, just to find, like roster time, because you're just bowling with your group of friends, and, the tournaments are competitive.
Yeah, especially because with me watching you guys, I mean, it's really high scores. So it takes a lot of focus.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things is definitely focus.
Yeah.
Focus is definitely big in a bowling tournament, because the bowling tournaments, they last like 10 hours.
Jeez.
We get to the alley at like
exhausting.
8 a.m. Actually, so this is a story. Our last tournament, it was at All-Star, All-Star Bowl in Indianapolis. And we got there at 7 a.m., and we didn't leave until 7:15, 7:30. Yeah, it takes a while, and one of those is focus and stamina. Those are the 2 main keys for our success so far.
Yeah, and like determination, I think, is just like the success of the team.
Yeah. Well, as a consistent hobby bowler of 50 points a game, I don't know much about bowling. So can you just explain how the season works and just like what practices look like, what meets look like, and just all that goes into the preparation?
So we practice 3 times a week for scheduled practices. So Monday and Tuesday we bowl from 9 to 11 at night. The reason for that is because, there's people that, want to buy and actually like pay for bowling, actually want to like have fun. People
Not like us.
yeah. People that do leagues, it's definitely a main source of revenue for bowling alleys is the leagues. So that's why our practices are pushed so late. And then we actually do a night league on Thursday nights. We also have a real connection with the bowling alley. Actually, one thing they really help us with is practice, because like anytime we go in there, it's free bowling for us.
Oh, wow.
And that's been like really huge.
Yeah, because I've went out there a couple times, and it's been really nice. Because at first I wasn't for sure, because I've been at a different bowling alley, and it's usually once you're at like home bowling alley, it's usually like that lane's pretty well, and then moving to Crest Lanes, then you sort of have to adjust. And
Yeah.
it was really nice having free practice sessions.
Wow.
Yeah, and also just forming connection with the staff there as well.
that's
You
really
know,
true.
Zach and Peyton, they're super nice people, and I love them to death.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So, Chris, you were just named Crossroads League Bowler of the Week. I think, was it last week, right?
Yep.
So, how did you feel when that was announced, and kind of has that added pressure to you in this season?
Well, I didn't really think I was gonna get it.
Wow.
I'll be quite honest. I think that overall my performance was kind of average for what the tournament had. Yeah, I shot 200 average. We're like 799. Usually at bowling tournaments, the winning
Usually.
score is like 220 average.
Yeah, 215,
Holy
220.
cow.
Yeah. So in October, actually, we went to the BGSU, which is like the Bowling Green State, like the Invitational.
Yeah.
And I averaged 246 for that tournament, and I got third.
Wow.
Yeah, no, these kids are elite.
I thought like breaking 90 was good.
Yeah.
I break 90, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
people are
tough.
like, oh, breaking 90, and I'm over here like getting 200s and like.
Yeah, we're tough.
And
No.
sometimes if you just get one low game, you're done.
Wow.
So it's very like it's either one low game or you're scoring really high. So,
Cutthroat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So Parker, as a freshman coming in, what has it been like adjusting to college when you didn't think that you're gonna go to college?
That's a good question. At first I was like, when Carl came up and was like, hey, I'm really interested, and I'm like, okay, I mean, this is nice. And he actually came to 3 or 4 of my matches, so I was seeing him very consistently. And so I was starting to get like a really good relationship with him. And then I actually came here for like a campus visit, and I actually canceled all my other ones.
Wow.
So this was the only one I
Yeah.
ever visited. And so jumping right into it, I just took one big leap and was like,
Yeah.
this is it. Like
for you.
I feel like God was like leading me towards this direction, because I didn't even know it. Like I wasn't planning on
Yes.
this.
right. God moment
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah.
So, you guys kind of mentioned your training a little bit and practice schedule, but obviously she mentioned she doesn't know much about bowling, neither do I. So, what goes into those 12-hour days, basically? What's kind of the schedule for those?
All right. So for like just like a day in the life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So usually in the morning and afternoon, usually just classes and studying. You
Yeah.
know. I do like occasionally work out. It usually at night is when it really like we start to get into bowling. Our practices are structured where, we have a warm up, we eventually get into practicing spares, just like the corner pins on the outside,
Yeah.
because it's harder to hit like one pin standing up by itself than it is to knock down like the entire 10 pins, because pins can clash into each other, which is a main thing. We also practice on like how we throw the bowling ball in a sense, do you guys play sports?
Yeah. Basketball and softball.
Yep.
Okay, basketball, softball. You play softball, right?
Yeah.
You know how you do drills for like throwing, you do you do like the
Technique stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one
technique
step,
stuff,
like
yeah.
one
For sure.
step, 2 step. Like
Yeah.
for us, it's like
100%.
1 step.
No,
and
yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
like doing like a whole 4-step approach, we only do one, because it can.
Gotcha.
Building
like,
small
yes,
habits
yes,
that
yes.
Yeah, and it's very similar to other
Yeah.
sports. Building, technique, building your game.
It's structure, and especially with spares, I feel like every competition that we have went to, it is mostly like picking up your spares, making sure you get your spares. Because if you miss like, 3 or 4 spares a game, that's at least, that could be 50 to 60 pins.
Yeah, that's devastating.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's a lot of pins. And, at the end of the day, sometimes you look at the results and you might be like 15 pins away from like
Wow.
a place. And so you just got to get the spares is the most
Crazy.
important one.
So, you mentioned how you felt God led you to Indiana Wesleyan, and now that you're here, what does the team do spiritually? Either your coaches or you guys?
So when we travel, let's say like Michigan or somewhere like Ohio or something like that, once we get to our hotel, we usually do like a player will each do like a devotional so we usually have those, and we unpack our stuff, and then we go down in the lobby and have like a devotional, and it's usually somebody different each time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah, we rotate on who does the spiritual devotions. And we do like team lunches, team dinners before events, which is like helping growth of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we do just activity based, where you're in a smaller group and, you guys are working together, which is a big thing that we've really impacted, just having, small group envelopment for our program.
Nice. So what has been your favorite memory being on the team thus far?
It's a hard
I know,
question usually.
it's a deep one.
Everyone always takes
Wow.
a minute.
I'm going to personally say our very first tournament of the year, because the varsity guys were really on fire that tournament, and we went through and they made it through the cut, and so they made like the stepladder matches. I forget where we finished. Did we finish second?
Yeah, we were second in that
Yes.
tournament. It was the Dirty Bird Classic
The
up
Dirty
at
Bird Classic.
Deck 60. And yeah, I actually remember bowling in that. It was a crazy event because
Yes, it was.
this bowling tournament was a lot different. So the structure of it, so like for normal bowling tournaments, it's 4-16, which is like 4 individual games, and you bowl 16 Baker games. And a Baker game is when all 5 people bowl one game, and individual games are where all 5 people bowl their own individual game. So in total, it's like 36 to 35 games, like a tournament.
Wow.
That's why it takes so long.
And I think we didn't leave there until at least 8 o'clock.
This
8:30.
tournament, it was
Lasted
3
forever.
individual and 20 Bakers, and there was a cut. And if you made it, you bowled longer, and you bowled match play. And we beat Spring Arbor, we beat Lawrence Tech, which was a big one for us.
Yes, Lawrence Tech was really really high up in the USBC standings. So
You ever feel like your fingers are gonna fall off?
Uh,
Or this is gonna break or something?
I have a funny story for that, which is actually my favorite bowling memory. So it was freshman year. I won my first collegiate tournament. It was at All Star. But over the course, my finger had cracked. All right, and I didn't know exactly like if I was gonna bowl the next day. I did make the decision to bowl the next day, but as I was bowling the tournament, it actually it was coming off, and I had to be taken out early. I feel like God in that moment was trying to get me to stop, because I've always wanted to bowl. There's nothing that has ever really stopped me from bowling.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I had that cracked fingernail, I still wanted to bowl,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that it was a very important lesson for me, because I used to practice 5 times, 6 times a week, in these 2-hour practices, and it really stopped me from over bowling, which was definitely big for me. It allowed me to take a step back from, the game of bowling and, have a new perspective on the outlook of life.
Wow.
that's really true. Mine was always my thumb. It would always crack right in between. And actually, my junior year of high school, that's when I started bowling a lot of tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where my thumb would start bleeding and my wrist would start hurting. And so sometimes I still have wrist problems. If I just move it wrong, but luckily that hasn't been happening. So we're doing really well.
Good.
Well, that's all the questions we have. Short and sweet. Good luck with the rest of your guys' season. And next episode will be episode 8. We're going to hopefully spotlight the women's bowling team if they get back to me anytime soon. So I'm Abby Harvey here with guest host Jordan Reid and our guests Chris Mace and Parker Dean here on Wildcat Week, brought to you by Amplify Media.